Hey, aloha everyone, Michael Crouch here, and welcome to this lesson where we are going to talk about how you can find consulting clients for your business. Now, what I like to do is have multiple streams of ways that I can bring in clients that I can consult with. So some of the key ways are Facebook and Instagram ads, LinkedIn and Instagram. You can also use automation tools with LinkedIn and Instagram, going door to door and having in-person meetings. And then also, if you're going to do cold calling, implementing some software to kind of speed that process up, and a CRM that kind of makes that process easier and more enjoyable. So basically, when it comes to which way you're going to go, one of the things that matters is where you live. So if you live in a place like I do, I'm on Maui, Hawaii. It's not very densely populated. We have only about 150,000 people on the whole island. So it's not like living in an urban city like New York or LA or San Francisco. So it's much harder here to do any sort of like door-to-door in-person stuff, where I've had students that have lived in more densely populated cities that could go to a strip mall or go to a spot where, you know, maybe they want to hit, you know, several doctors or dentists or chiropractors, and they can do that within a very small radius. And so stuff that's more in-person works better, as opposed to being on Maui. I rely more on things that are more virtual. So running Facebook and Instagram ads, contacting people through Instagram, LinkedIn, different automation tools, and then using some calling software to, you know, be able to reach out and do cold calls, but be able to hit maybe 10 times more calls and get 10 times more results than I could if I wasn't using a cold calling software and I was just dialing on my own. So let's kind of talk about a few of these. So number one would be in-person meetings. And even though this seems super old school to be able to go door to door and meet with people, this is how a lot of my students have actually gotten success right out of the gate. Because when we look at what you're trying to accomplish, especially if you're new to getting clients, this might not apply to you as much as if you've already gotten clients and you're already a full-time entrepreneur. But one of the biggest things is you want to be able to replace your income. So oftentimes I'll talk to students and say, hey, you know, what are your goals? And a lot of the times they have financial goals. So they want to hit 10,000 a month or 20,000 a month or 5,000 a month or 30,000 a month or whatever the number is. And I think this is kind of a tendency that is a little bit flawed, because the first goal, in my opinion, should always be to replace your income of whatever you're doing in your 9-to-5. So if you're new to this and you're trying to become a full-time entrepreneur, the very first thing you should focus on is getting your time back, right? Because if you're spending out 40 hours a week at a job that's not yours, you're working for somebody else, that's 160 hours a month. That's a lot of time, right? If you can get that time back, okay, first of all, you get your life back. Second of all, if you can consistently stay away from the 9-to-5, you can essentially live several lifetimes. Because if someone is doing their own thing, working for themselves, versus someone that's spending 160 hours a month working, plus all that time in traffic, you know, maybe it's closer to 200 hours a month, then those are 200 hours you get back that you can live with, that you can go to the beach, spend time with family, do the things that you love to do, as opposed to somebody in the 9-to-5 doesn't have that. So the way I like to think of it is, if you can replace the income, right, you can get all of your time back and essentially kind of live more than one lifetime compared to someone that's on that average 9-to-5, okay? So that being said, kind of coming back to how we can get consulting clients, and one of the first ways just being in-person meetings, is it doesn't take that much for a lot of people to replace their income. So for an average consulting client for us, we charge anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 with some ongoing fees. So if you were, let's say, just charging, you know, $4,000 a month or $3,000 a month or even $2,000 a month, how many clients would you need to really replace your income? You know, maybe only 2 or 3. So you can see that taking a day out of your, out of your schedule to go and reach out to some densely populated areas, especially if you live, again, in an urban place where there's, a lot of companies readily available in a small radius. If you can sign up 2 to 3 companies, you can get that time back. So I really want to hit that home because to me, that's the most key factor in getting started is getting the time back. Because then once you get that 160 hours or that 200 hours a month back, now you have that time. Now you can shoot for those high financial goals because you have the time. So now if you're trying to hit 20 or 30,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 a month or whatever your goal is, you actually have the time to be able to do that, right? As opposed to if you're trying to fit this in with your 9 to 5, it's going to be much, much harder to hit those higher goals. So again, the first goal I always say is to just get your time back. Okay, so this can be a really great way of getting those first couple clients. Now, for those of you that aren't in an area where you can do that, another way that seems also a little bit old school, but is proven, is cold calling. Now, when I say cold calling, I don't necessarily mean just going through the phone book. I guess they don't even have phone books these days, but going through a list of numbers and just calling on your phone. That's not really the most efficient way to do this process. So when we look at this, if this is something that you want to do, this can add a lot of money to your bottom line if you have the process set up. So it's not just about calling, because this is a very loose term, right? It's like related to singing, okay? So if my sister can sing, right? But also Rihanna can sing, Christina Aguilera can sing, Celine Dion can sing, you know, the little girl at the elementary school can sing. There's different levels to singing, right? So same thing with doing kind of cold outreach, there's different levels to it. So just because you're cold calling and you're going through the motions doesn't mean you're necessarily doing it at the level that you could to achieve maximum success. So what are some of the ways that when we do this, we can really maximize success? So one of them is going to be using a software. I really like a software out there called PhoneBurner, okay, and I'll write that right here. PhoneBurner, and there's several out there. The thing I like about PhoneBurner is that it has a CRM system built in, and it has some tools in there to really make life easier for you on the call. So one example would be, let's say you press the button, the software is going to go through a list, right? And we'll show you in a video. I'll take you on my screen and actually show you how you can get leads and then upload them onto PhoneBurner so that you can have a list that the software will go through and just dial. But let's say someone, it goes to voicemail, okay? So instead of you having to leave a voicemail, there's a tool within PhoneBurner where you can just press the button and it will actually wait for the voicemail to finish. It will leave a message, but it's not going to have you wait on the line while that happens. It's going to do that automatically on the side, and it's going to hit the next call for you. So essentially what happens is you can hit about 10 times the amount of calls by having a software doing the dialing for you. Not only are you hitting about 10 times the calls, but your efficiency goes way up because you have these little software tools that can do little things like leave a voicemail. And also there's a CRM system built in, which is basically a client management software where you can keep track of where everybody's at. So if you talk to somebody and maybe you sent them a proposal, then you can basically note that while you're on the call. So as the call is connected, you can note that and then basically save that for that client, and then boom, it's going to go to the next call. So these kind of tools, again, it's like comparing, my sister that sings to Christina Aguilera or Celine Dion. They both sing, but very, very different. Again, same thing with cold calling. There's levels to it. So if you want to be at that high level, which is going to bring in that high revenue, you've got to use these tools and you've got to look at ways that you can really increase efficiency, because somebody that's doing it at the low level versus somebody that's doing it at the high level is going to be about a 10 to 20 to maybe even 30x difference. So it's huge. It's not like a 20% difference, 50% difference. I mean, it's like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000% difference between somebody that's not doing it correctly and someone that's using software and different tools to basically help that process. So we'll talk more about that. I'll take you on my screen. I'll kind of walk you through some of the specifics on that, but that's kind of a little bit of an overview on that. Number 3 is going to be Facebook and IG ads. Okay, so this is all, again, managed through just Facebook's Ads Manager, so you don't need to manage these in two different places. You just go to Facebook Ads Manager and you can run ads on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. All of Facebook's partners is all controlled through Ads Manager. And this can be a really good way to get clients because you're actually getting clients the same way that you're teaching. So one of the big things that you're probably going to want to teach your consulting clients is how they can get leads from paid ads on the internet. So what a better way to get them on board than the exact same process, because it's like, hey guys, I'm going to teach you the same thing I used to bring you guys on board, right? And so we'll talk more about the specifics of this. Now, there's a little bit of barrier to entry here just because you're going to be running ads. So you have to spend money, it's paid ads. That being said, the budget is up to you, right? I mean, you can start with as little as $5 a day, $10 a day, work your way up to $20 a day, $50, $100, and grow it from there. But you can always start small. So the nice thing about doing Facebook and Instagram ads is you can start with as little as $5 a day, literally, and build your way up from there. So again, we'll talk more about the specifics of this, but this is really neat, and we'll give you some resources on how to kind of find some ads that you can run, both for your clients and for yourself, and kind of give you some tools on how to take these ads and keep them organized. Because with any of these strategies that we're going to talk about, it's not just about getting the lead in. That's half of the battle. The next part of the situation, or the next part of the equation, is nurturing the client, right? And how, when that client comes in from that ad or from that cold call or from that in-person meeting, how are you nurturing that client and basically pushing them kind of through an automatic sales process? And we're going to use software and systems to do that. And again, we'll talk about more of that specifically, but that's kind of going to be where the magic happens, right? So not just you running the ads and getting the lead to you, but then once the lead comes into your database, how are you nurturing it? What kind of automation tools are you using to really increase the conversion rate? Because again, someone that runs Facebook and Instagram ads, just like singing, big difference between my sister singing and Celine Dion, right? So with Facebook ads, big difference from someone that's just running a basic ad and not really having a nurturing process to someone that's running a much more advanced ads. When I say advanced, I don't mean it's harder. I just mean more thoughtful in how they run the ads, and then having a process where they can nurture the client. So that's a big deal. And then for number 4, we're going to talk about some automation tools. So automation, there's LinkedIn automation tools, there's Instagram automation tools. There's different things that can kind of automate the outreach process. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages. So sometimes with automation tools, you have to be careful because platforms like Instagram, especially as of late, have kind of looked down on certain automation tools. So you've got to be careful. You do run the risk sometimes of having that account be flagged and things like that. And so even though it can be very profitable, it's also one of those things where you kind of have to pay attention to the rules and see kind of at what level do you want to use automation tools. Other platforms like LinkedIn, they are pretty accepting of certain automation tools, and there's companies out there that have run automation tools for years and had no issue whatsoever and have built very, very successful agencies doing consulting just off of purely automation tools with companies like LinkedIn. So it's definitely something to look at. So that's kind of a little bit of the disadvantage, is you got to pay attention to what the policies are for automation and kind of the different companies. The good news is it's very highly leverageable, meaning the cost. So instead of paying for ads where every single ad that goes out you're getting charged by Facebook and Instagram, with automation tools you're getting a lot for your money. So you're paying for the tool. The tool is going off onto Instagram or LinkedIn, and it's reaching out to people, and it's kind of doing some of the legwork for you to do the marketing, but you're not paying for every single exposure. you're just paying for the tool, generally a monthly fee, to be able to have that get out there and do its thing and kind of reach out to people so that you can manage it. Again, same thing with the other three, there's levels to it. So if you get somebody in the door and they respond to you, that's not the end, right? That's just, maybe half of the battle. The other half of the equation is you have to nurture that client. What happens next? What is your sales process? Are you sending them a proper report? Are you, keeping in touch with them? How many touches are you doing? All those sorts of things make a very, very big difference, okay? So we'll get more into detail on these, but just wanted to kind of touch on an overview here so you guys can see it. So again, in-person meetings, cold calling, especially using software like PhoneBurner, Facebook and Instagram ads. We'll run through some examples. I'll show you guys how to do that. And then automation tools for things like Facebook and Instagram automation. So those are going to be some core ways that you can just have multiple streams of leads coming in. Because again, your first goal, especially if you're brand new, should be, in my opinion, to replace your income. So it's not like you're trying to hit some crazy number. You're trying to just hit whatever it's going to take to allow you to comfortably not have to work in that 9-to-5 environment and to get your time back. So for a lot of people, that's not a big number. It's usually under $10,000, which in a lot of cases with consulting clients, that might only be 2 or 3 clients. So appreciate you guys watching this. Hopefully you got a lot out of this as far as understanding the core ways that you can reach out, and we'll get into more specifics again on how to do these. But appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys inside. Aloha.